Now, John North, your question for Carly Fiorina.
Ms. Fiorina, the Arizona immigration law is widely condemned by Mexico, by other countries, by many of the state's governors, by many police forces. So, even though it's been modified, do you support that law or condemn it?
Well, the Arizona law is also supported, according to the most recent polls, by at least 60% of the American people, and a higher percentage of that of the people of Arizona. I have consistently supported this law. Unfortunately, the vilification of the people of Arizona clouds the real issue. The real issue here is that the federal government has failed to do its job. It is the federal government's job to secure the border, and the federal government has failed to do so. And so, unfortunately, the good people of Arizona, who in fear and frustration are trying to protect their own citizens, have done what they felt was necessary. I believe that instead of calling for comprehensive immigration reform, as Barbara Boxer and President Obama are doing, they should step up and do their jobs. Barbara Boxer should step up and ask the administration to do its job. President Obama, instead of trying to change the subject, should do his job. He needs no new piece of legislation to secure the border.
Mr. Campbell.
Here's what we should do about the border. First of all, the guest worker program needs to be made part of the American economy. It's very important for California to benefit from guest workers who come in here for a period of years, a period of months for a season, and then must leave, or they won't be invited back. We have H-1B visas in high tech for that, and agriculture H-2A visas. Then an E-Verify program that really requires people, employers, to check and make sure that there's not a fraudulent use of a Social Security number. A border fence across the border, and serious employer sanctions. Now, if the federal government had done that, we would not have this problem. Do I support what Arizona did? Arizona is totally within its rights in doing what it did. The state of California should watch and see. I've been attacked from the left because I've supported Arizona's right, and I just want to make it quite clear, Arizona is acting constitutionally. All the bill does is to say when you have reasonable suspicion on an otherwise legal stop, ask about the immigration status as well.
Well, I support the Arizona law, and again, I'd like to reiterate that I'm the only Republican up here who unambiguously opposes amnesty. Now, I noted with interest last Friday, one of my opponents, Ms. Fiorina, was going all over the map on this issue, where she was actually ascribing to racist overtones Republican concerns about controlling our border. The last job I had in the Army National Guard in California is that I was the Deputy J1. In that position, I helped plan the mission that augmented the National Guard down on the border as we were helping the Border Patrol get control of our borders, as we were building a double fence with a road in between it. That worked. And now, of course, what's happened is illegal immigration has crossed over into Arizona because the California border is far more secure. We know fences work. The virtual fence is virtually worthless. We must complete a physical barrier on our southern border.
Back to immigration, if I could. There are an estimated 12 million illegal immigrants in this country. And what do you do with them? Do you round them all up, send them home, and do you offer anybody a pathway to citizenship?
You address that question only after you have secured the border. When you put those ideas forward and you haven't secured the border, you're only inviting more people to cross that border illegally. It was a mistake that President Ronald Reagan made, a mistake that President Jimmy Carter made, a mistake that Senator John McCain made. No, you address that issue, and of course it's important, and we realize its implications for our state, only after you have a secure border. And I might use this occasion to respond to my good friend Chuck DeVore. No, I have never favored amnesty. So when you make the statement that you're the only one who's unequivocally opposed to it, I don't know the source for that. Amnesty is a serious mistake. It takes the opportunity that is earned by those who obeyed the law, waited their time, and takes it instead and gives it to somebody who broke the law. So the first step is to get that border secure. And notice how the Democrats running the Senate and the House and the President have said, well, let's call it comprehensive. And it's not comprehensive unless we have a pathway to citizenship. And that's the mistake. Because you won't secure the border, you will have more illegal aliens entering, and you will then have attracted them by reason of the suggestions that are in that bill.
Ms. Fiorina.
You know, the federal government has two jobs here. It is the federal government's job to secure the border, and it is the federal government's job to create a temporary worker program that works. And the federal government has failed in both of its responsibilities. And once again, career politicians like Barbara Boxer are trying to change the subject by claiming that the Arizona law is not constitutional. President Obama is trying to change the subject by saying he needs comprehensive immigration reform to do his job. The facts are we don't need comprehensive immigration reform to do what must be done. The truth is here that there's all kinds of people trying to change the subject. And if I may, I just must respond. You know, Chuck DeVore spends a lot of time mischaracterizing my words, but I do think that extreme rhetoric on both sides of this debate is not helpful. So when Mr. DeVore is quoted this morning in the LA Times as saying that if you see a group of men standing outside the Home Depot looking for work and they are speaking Spanish, then they should be asked for their papers. That is not helpful. We have many men, hard-working American citizens who perhaps speak Spanish who are looking for work because we have unemployment in this state above 13%.
Mr. DeVore.
Well, I find it a little bit amusing that Carly Fiorina has made now 3 references to career politicians, and if you noticed, she didn't actually answer the question that was posed to her, much like a career politician. So let's be very specific. I do not believe in amnesty, and
Neither
I think maybe
do I, Chuck, as you know.
Well, I think we've just
know.
had some news made here tonight, so perhaps
for
now
heaven's
both
sake.
of us are now. All of us are now firmly on record against amnesty. That's wonderful. That's good progress. I'm glad that you've moved toward my position. So, what we need to do is the following. Anything that we do must be fair and follow rule of law. What we need to do is ensure that people who are already here have an opportunity to go back out of the country, get a visa to come back into the country, and they cannot get their citizenship until everyone who's been waiting patiently and legally overseas has that opportunity to become an American citizen. So whatever we do can't be unfair to those people who have been following the law.